Hello, everyone, and welcome to this super exciting LinkedIn Writers Workshop. Now, if you're anything like me, you hate self-promotion and maybe your LinkedIn page is not as polished as it could be. And that's why I was so excited when Russ actually reached out to me, because my LinkedIn has just been kind of sitting in the back of my mind like, oh, I'll deal with it later. And he reached out to me and he was like, I think I could really help you fix your LinkedIn. And I think a lot of other people would enjoy doing that as well. Should we do an interview? And I was like, yes, please. I think a lot of people will benefit from this. So yes, this is Russ. Take it away. Tell us about yourself.
Hello, everybody. Russ Riendeau is my name. I live here in the suburbs of Chicago, Lake Barrington, Illinois here, 25 degrees today. And Zuli and I had a great conversation about LinkedIn. If you check my LinkedIn profile, what you're going to see is I have been a executive recruiter for about 35 years. As part of doing executive search, you need LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a lifeline. As a writer, like Zuli, I do a lot of writing. I've written 12 books. I've recorded 7 albums. I've done 500 articles. I've done some YouTube pieces. I've done some TED Talks. And the reason I say that is not about a boasting, but is you build up credibility in the marketplace as a writer, right? By the content that you put out there and by the experiences that you have. And LinkedIn can be your most powerful tool to get into the business community, because what do you want to be known for as a writer? What do you want to contribute to the marketplace is important. And that's what Zuli and I want to talk about today in terms of how to take your LinkedIn profile to the next level so you don't have to work so hard. Because when you're a writer, people are going to listen to you because of you helping them. It's not about you marketing yourself. It's not about me saying, I've got a new book. You should, right? It's not about promoting your book or your content. It's about promoting the value that you have in your delivery. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And younger writers, and people starting out in their writing careers. And as you can tell, I got a little gray hair, so I have kind of been there and done that. And what I have found is I have made more money in writing books, not by selling books. You need a platform to sell books. The publishers are not going to publish your book if you don't have a big platform. But what writing does is writing helps you gain credibility and expertise in the marketplace. And because you are an author, it gives you more credibility in the corporate side, in the business side, and it makes it easier to close more deals, get more writing assignments, get more projects, because corporate America will pay a lot more money than individual subscribers or individual people to buy your book. LinkedIn can come into play.
Yeah. So it sounds like it's going to be a very practical case of work smarter, not harder. And the way this is going to be broken up is, first, we're going to see an example of what not to do. We're going to be my own LinkedIn profile, and Russ is going to be tearing it to shreds, but in a kind and constructive way, hopefully.
Nation, yes. Julie's great to be the guinea pig here, so
yeah,
we'll have some fun with it.
And then the second half, he's going to show us how an actual professional will do it. And you're going to tell us a little bit about how you're planning to market your book on LinkedIn, which I think is going to be so valuable. And I can't wait. I actually want to start right away.
Great.
So I'm going to get my profile up, share my screen, and hear what Russ has to say about the best way to improve it. And Russ, what I am most looking for is just like the low-hanging fruit. Like, what are a couple of things I could change today and start getting results tomorrow? That is the kind of sort of advice that I would love to get here. Can everyone see my tab here?
All right, I can. How do I make this bigger on my screen? That's the I don't know. Maybe I can't do that, but that's okay. I know this well enough. All right, sports fans, here's what we got. So here again, we're not going to criticize the person. We're going to criticize the performance. How's that?
I appreciate that.
So because Julie hasn't worked on this a lot, so a couple things. Everybody's profile might look a little bit different based on whether you've upgraded or use a paid premium on LinkedIn. This is a free version. It's the basic. This is right out of the box kind of stuff. Couple things. Let's go right down the list. Notice her background, the gray background. That's the standard issue for LinkedIn.
And that's this bit right here.
Yeah. So that wallpaper, so you can modify that in your edit settings. You can put a background of whatever it is. If you're into nature, put a nature picture. If you're into dogs and cats, put dogs and cats. If you're a writer, make it thematic of what you do for a living or what you want the reader or viewer to be aware of. So that is a very important piece. You can put a statement, you could put a saying, you could say Trump or Biden, whatever you want to put. That's your space. Zulie's got a good picture. Make sure the picture represents what you want to be seen as. If you are a writer, or if you're a business professional, don't have a picture of you on the back of the boat holding up a 42-pound salmon that you just caught in Canada. It's nice that you had a big fish, but what do you want to be known for on LinkedIn? So
not a fish.
Make sure you have a good picture.
Thank you.
Under your header, under Zulie, it says freelance content creator, copywriter, blogger, video creator. She's told me what she does, but she doesn't tell me what the value proposition is. What problem does she solve? So when you have that header, think about, is there a way that you can say what you do, but also capture the attention of the viewer? Remember, LinkedIn is not it's your resume, but it's your headline. It's your front page of who you are. So make sure that it's exciting. Make sure that it's dynamic. Make sure that you ask a question to engage the viewer, to say, is this someone that I need to reach out to or connect? I'm not talking about how to get more connections. I don't care about connections. What I care about is that your LinkedIn profile looks like you want it to look like as a professional, what you want to attract. So maybe there's a way to adjust your header underneath there to say, I help you solve problems. I turn your content into exciting, compelling kind of things, right? So that's one way to do.
I'll do this later. I think I want.
Yeah, okay, so she's kind of tinkering with that.
Yeah.
So underneath there it says contact information. Here,
gotcha.
There it is. She has her email address. Does she have her phone number? She doesn't have a phone number. Some people don't want their phone number out there. I have a phone number out there because I make a living by people calling me. So I'm okay with a phone number. At least have your LinkedIn, your profiles there, have your email address. I can't tell you how many writers I have tried to reach out through on Medium, on other blogs, and I can't even find them on LinkedIn. And they're complaining that they can't get published, they can't find viewers, and I can't even find them on the world's biggest business platform. So make it easy to find me, please. Yeah. Underneath that, and then Zulie, your screen's dark there. Let me see what else we have. So underneath the your about section, if we go down there, you notice where she says about. Now this is where people kind of brag on themselves. It's kind of like the executive summary on the resume. And there's kind of a joke. Where's the best place to hide a dead body? Hide it in your executive summary. Because no one goes there, no one reads it, no one cares. Your about section, this is where you can create a lot of value. She says, I'm a writer and passionate. She tells me what she is, she tells me what she likes. It's very well written. Think about it this way. What if she asked the question, are you looking for someone to strengthen your copywriting? Are you trying to sell more product? Are you trying to reach a larger audience? Are you trying to get Batman to show up on your doorstep? Instead of telling me about you, ask me a question about how I can help you solve your problems. So remember, your LinkedIn profile should be designed to attract who you are trying to attract as a customer.
Right.
Or as a viewer, right? Julie does a good job of explaining what she does, but what she could be doing is saying, who is my audience? What are their problems? What's trending? What do they need to know? What question can I ask them that's going to resonate with them? And as a result, if I ask the right question, they're going to, in their mind, say, yeah, I'm looking for something like that. Let's go further.
Mm-hmm.
So ask the question, engage the viewer, and then at the bottom of that summary or about is, if these questions resonate, give me a call. Let's talk about how I can help you with a writing project or with whatever it is, right? Is your right? Is your front lawn too long? Yes. If you need a cut, call Russ. I mean, it's as A to B kind of profile. So you can add some, don't be too long in here. Try to keep everything, right? We talk about above the fold.
Right.
Have the
that makes sense.
contact, right? So people don't have to scroll down. They're not going to read it, right? You want to attract people.
So ideally, I want like my first most engaging question at the very, very top line.
Right.
Right.
That's kind of your headline question, right? It's kind of your headline question, and you've got to capture that person right away. You can't be all things to all people. People try to be too many things on LinkedIn, and you can always change this stuff, but you want to make sure you're appealing to that audience. So if we scroll down now to Zulie's experience down, we'll see she's got a few posts below there. Now, she does a good job. She's got a lot of articles here. She's featured some content. So if the boys and girls out there, if you are writers, if you are writing content, if you're trying to put a message out there, number one is make sure that you're attaching pictures to your content. If you're just writing something without an image, the chances of it looking slick and sharp on LinkedIn are slim. So make sure you add some pictures.
That's so interesting. I never would have guessed that.
Oh yeah, it's right. People look at pictures before text. They look at videos before pictures. The search engines are going to pick up video clips faster than they do photos. So make sure your photo is compelling. Make sure that your headline or the title of your piece attracts people's attention, right? Best place to hide a dead body. I got your attention, right? 6 ways to improve your makeup before you go out on a dinner date. Okay, is that as exciting as, best place to hide a dead body before a dinner date? That might be more appealing. It's kind of dark, but it's okay. So make sure you have some articles, and you can publish content on LinkedIn. This is where we want to show people too, is up at the top. Julie, if you scroll up to the top there, you can post things on LinkedIn. We'll get down to that, but you can post articles and links on your page. This is where you can cross promote. If you're doing work in or blogs or somewhere else, you can link these by sharing a post in your LinkedIn profile and then start to scroll down. So this is where you can cross market your content, and it's going to hit a larger audience. And I'm going to show you how to do that even more so as we go down.
Yeah.
So as we go down to her job history, we can see a little bit of her activity. That's fine. But here's where, under experience, she's a freelance writer. This is where she agreed for me to beat her up. She's a freelance writer. I don't know if she's any good. How do I know Zulie Rain is any good at what she does, right? I see her content, but I don't know if she's any good. Why? Because she hasn't convinced me. She hasn't even tried to convince me that she's good or bad. She's said, I'm a freelance writer. I don't know who her customers are. I don't know what her specialty is. I don't see examples really easy of something that I could read. So you want to let the audience know, this is what I do. This is what I'm good at. And then here's some examples of customers. This is a critical part too, because instead of marketing yourself, instead of trying to tell me how good you are at something, give me examples of how you were good for someone else. So show me an article of someone that you wrote it for. Give me a list of 3 or 4 different companies that you've worked for, so that it gives me that third-party testimonial, that
Mhm.
credibility that I am being paid to write for General Electric, for Microsoft, for Google,
Yeah.
for Amazon, for
And what would you suggest for freelance writers who don't have their first client? Because I know, like, when I got my first client more or less through networking. Now I know how to get more, but if you're not at that stage yet, what would you put here that would be persuasive?
what you would do and that's a good question, is no, we're not going to lie. We can't lie. One of the things that you should do is find someone that works for a company, whatever it is, and send them $1 or have them send you $1 and say, I'm going to give you some ideas for $1 so that you can honestly and ethically and morally say, this company, this person paid me for consulting services. Doesn't have to be $1,000 contract, but in your mind, in your heart, in your ethics, you can say, this person paid me for consulting services. So what you can do is, and this person worked for Microsoft or Amazon or Ford Motor Company, whatever the case is. But if you don't have a lot of clients, what you start to do is you write stories about examples of companies that have done something good or right or better. And that way you slowly build up credibility, because it shows that you are trend setting. It shows you're an expert in the industry. You're following critical things that are out there. So creating more and more content and using images will attract more people that will call you to get you more writing assignments.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So not about lying, but you're also not looking for like $1,000 contract.
No,
you just want to be able to say they paid me money to do this thing, and you don't have to necessarily say it was $1. But that way, yeah, you can satisfy the requirements.
Exactly. How much did they pay you? I'm sorry, my fees are confidential, just like I would discuss it only with you. If you were to me, I don't discuss that outside.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
So that's why in your experience level, you want to give people a compelling reason to call me, right? Tell me what you do, how you do it, and how well you do it. That's the important thing. So asking good questions in your summary that are logical shows that you're an expert, because you're asking the right question, right? A good question is more impressive than a good answer.
Yeah.
So ask those questions. Under education, it shows you have a bachelor's degree. Do you have a bachelor's? Some people don't even put that they have a bachelor's degree, but make sure that people say, I received a bachelor's of arts degree from this university this year, specializing in this. Okay. Now, if you're a writer and let's say you got a degree in mortuary science, for some reason you were going to go into the family business of being a funeral home runner, is maybe you don't want to tell people you got a degree in mortuary science. But so just put you received a bachelor's degree from Oxford University, whatever the case is, and go from there. So the degree will help give credibility if it makes sense. It's not a deal breaker, but utilize it the best you can. Plus, you also might want to tap into your alumni association as well. And you can do that. Might be able to find them through LinkedIn, or the more robust you talk about your college education, maybe some of your alumni like to hire people from your university and they'll work with you. Go down into skills and endorsements. You can get endorsements from people. Endorsements on LinkedIn are kind of like the reference letter after they fire you, right? It's nice, but it's not going to get you another job. It's nice to have a few endorsements. If people are willing to give you an endorsement, great. It's not a deal breaker. What you want to be able to show here under skills and endorsements is what your experience is, how you help people, how you coach people. And with Zulie's info here is if she can get some endorsements from people that says she did a great job doing this, she made us more money, we increased our revenue, we increased our lead generation, more content, whatever. If they will say that, that's great. But it's not a deal ender. But if you can get people to make a recommendation, they'll be willing to do it.
Okay. So recommendation better than endorsement, and in the recommendation, if at all possible, some actual results of what you achieved for them.
Right. And if they're willing to give you a statement and a couple paragraphs, Great. Another technique that I have used is people say, yes, I'm more than willing to give you a recommendation or endorsement, but they're too lazy to write it, or they're busy to write it, or
Right.
they don't know what to say. Most people are not writers. That's why there's writers, right? So people they don't know what to say. So one of the techniques I use is I say, Zuli, are you open to giving me a recommendation? Yes. Would you like to write it by yourself, or would you like me to draft something to save you some time, and then you can edit it to how you want, and that'll save you some time?
Yeah, I vaguely remember from my years of trying to get letters of rec from for colleges. That was the strategy my parents recommended I do to try to save my my teachers the effort. But yeah, that's interesting. Okay.
Exactly, and people, and you would think people would say, people's initial reaction is, well, wait, you want me to just sign off on whatever flowery BS you say? And I go, well, yeah. No, but if you write it in, you say, I'm going to write something, and you see if you agree. So what you do is you craft it in a way that is flattering to you, but you also write it in the third person, so that you're not being overtly too compelling, and let them make the edits, right? And make it a safe kind of thing. Most people will say yes. I have literally helped people write testimonials for books that I have. I've said to them, I would appreciate your help. I'm willing to write the draft to save you time. And they literally have said, that's fine, perfect. Just put my name to it, good to go. They haven't changed one word, right?
Pretty awesome.
So, hey, and I got for this book that we talked about, this book of poetry and prose, which is new, I got 8 or 9 testimonials from people that were willing to put and these are neuroscientists, authors. One is a best-selling author. They were willing to put their name on the book, and I helped them write the foreword for it, which is great. I saved them time, but they still were willing to put their name out there. So people are happy to help. You just have to ask them.
Just have to be willing to ask. That's something I know I struggle with, is just like not wanting to put myself out there. But that's actually a great example of what can happen. People want to help you. I don't think, especially in the writing world, people tend to be very congenial and lovely and friendly. And all you have to do is just be like, this is what you can do to help me. I would love it if you could. I'll make it as easy as you can.
Right. And here's the other thing about that too, Zuli, is when you ask people to help you, sometimes you can't do anything more for them. You're simply asking for their help. But the other way, as writers, what we can all do in the writing community, for those of us that are on this program today, what we can do is we can help each other by sharing the content and sharing the message that we have with our readers. So Zuli and I are taking advantage of our conversation today because you're learning about me and I'm learning about you. So if you like the content that she's presenting here, if you like this program, you're going to share these ideas with someone else. I'm going to share Zuli's info. So we're helping each other build our platforms of people, and that's where LinkedIn comes into play. Is if I'm going to ask you your help, I'm going to say, here's how I'm going to help you in return. I hope I can return the favor to you someday, and people will remember that, because people want to help. But if there's no value, or if it's a pain in the ass to help, they're not going to do it.
Yeah, make it easy for them to say yes.
There's got to be some value. People are not going to be willing to put their name on a document if they don't believe it has value, and that's what we're trying to build here. How many of you have seen the Netflix, is it The Social Dilemma?
Oh, people keep recommending that to me, but I'm always, it's a little too heavy. I'm worried that I won't enjoy it. But
I guarantee you, if any of us that are writing on social media platforms, if you have not read The Social Dilemma, it is a must watch, because what you realize is that we all, if you're not paying for something, if you're not paying for a product, you are the product.
Yeah.
And Social Dilemma is going to show you why us readers can't figure out why, well, everybody seems to be thinking the same way as I am, but why am I not making any money? Why am I not breaking through that third wall?
Mm-hmm.
Why am I not be able to get freelance? And the social dilemma is going to show you exactly how the internet, how what we're doing right now is being manipulated in a way by algorithms for all of us to be the same. It's a little bit of a bummer kind of a piece, but I guarantee you it is a wake-up call
Worth a watch.
every one of us needs to see. My wife didn't want to watch it because she heard it was too depressing.
Yeah.
So we watched Game of Thrones instead. But you need to watch Social Dilemma for sure. Let's scroll down past recommendations and get to some other juicy kind of marketing ideas here. So we've got interests, and then under interest, you're going to have interest groups, followers, companies, things like that. People can see some of this content. You can adjust on your LinkedIn profile what people see and don't see. You can be a wide open kind of person, or you can have a profile that looks like you're in the witness protection program. So under companies, groups, and schools. Under companies, what I would encourage you to do is follow the checkbook. One is we talk about follow the checkbook. Follow companies, follow people that can sign off, that can hire you, that can retain you, that are going to be readers. Mm-hmm. Don't just follow people because you're curious about what Richard Branson's doing at Virgin Records. I don't really care what's going on at Starbucks. And if I hear one more great story about how fun Southwest Airlines is to fly, I'm going to gag. I love Southwest Airlines. But there's only so much time we have. Mm-hmm. Invest your time following companies that you can learn from or leverage. That's a simple one. Plus, if people see you're following some weird stuff, people are going to say, what is he doing? Right? Why is he following bottled water companies, right? I mean, so that's it. Number 2, go to groups. Go to groups. This is where, so how many groups are you a member of?
Looks like just the one.
Okay. Groups is where you're going to be able to leverage your work. Find groups in LinkedIn, and all you got to do is just go into the space bar and type in writing groups, right? Or author groups. Let's just try this.
Groups. Any?
Okay. Look at that. So look at all these places to go. So there are literally dozens and dozens and dozens of LinkedIn groups that are related to writing, creative writing, authors, freelance, how to publish your works, how to market your works, how to write a book, how to sell a book, how to steal a book, how to draw a book. There's thousands of ideas out there and groups that you could join to learn more about your craft. So there's 2 ways to use the groups here that's important. One, you can join groups to help you learn more about your craft, mm-hmm. right? And what I have found is when I join writers groups on LinkedIn, there's a lot of people that are crabbing about, poor me, I can't make any money selling and writing. No one wants to publish my book. I've got a great story about grandma. And they can't figure out why people get into writing groups many times because they want the social interactions, but you're not going to learn as much from the writing groups. You're learning more from Zuli and the work that she's doing than you can in these writing groups. So one way, join some groups, get some camaraderie. That's good. You can practice in here. It's a safe haven, right? Mm-hmm. Safe harbor. So you can practice your craft and learn what other people are doing or not doing that's working. So that's number 1. Mm-hmm. Go back to the groups on the other side. Let's say you want to, you're a freelancer and you want to get some writing assignments. Who's going to hire you? What would be the title of a person that, so Zuli, what would be an example of a title of someone at a company that might hire you?
There are 2 different types. So for anybody who's new to the freelance writing world, you can get direct clients. So for example, I'm doing work with a company called QVault. That's like a coding platform, a platform to learn to code. But then I also do some work for a digital marketing agency. They have their own clients. I write work for them, and they then pass that work on to their clients. So the one that's probably most lucrative for me would be the digital marketing agency.
All right. So, so the person that might hire you would be what? A marketing manager, public relations director, marketing. What would their title be? Maybe. Let's say let's pick low-hanging fruit. Let's say the digital marketing manager. How's that? Let's see what comes up. Okay, so here's a couple things. One is you type in the title of the person, in essence, who's going to write Zuli a check to do some freelance work? Mm-hmm. Well, it might be the digital marketing manager. It might be the marketing manager. It might be the public relations coordinator. Look at these profiles, and you'll be able to see what these people do. Do they have authority to hire you? What do they typically look for? So you might say is that Christine?
Mm-hmm.
So what you do is you look at her background and you say, okay, what does she do? And then go down and look at what groups is she a member of?
Just these three, it looks like. She's not a great example. Let's try to find another one.
Okay, right.
A more active LinkedIner.
And here's again, most people are not great examples. So that's why the better you are on LinkedIn, the better example you will be for marketing your services. So let's see her interests, kind of groups.
Okay, let's check these out. Groups.
All right, who's she a member of?
Social media consulting, social media marketing consulting, a lot of social media.
Got it. Okay. So what you can do here, look at these, pick the ones that have, here's social media today. You see, scroll down there, 200,000 people. So here's one example is if you join this group with a click of a button, you can join this group. There's 266,000 people in this group. What you do is you join the group, look at what content they're putting out there. What questions are people asking? Look at the member profiles to see what they do for a living. And you have a couple options. One is you literally can go after and call them on the phone, track them down with wherever their company is, call them and say, hey, I'm a freelance writer, and maybe you need me for some work, and let me send you some examples of my writing. That's why your LinkedIn profile has to align, right, with what you're going to do when you call them. The other thing you do is when you join this group of 266,000 people, everybody's trying to get attention. So what you do is instead of trying to get attention by putting content out there, put content out or put questions out instead. Ask a question. What would you like to talk about? What are you finding to be the top 3 things that people today are looking for in a web blog? Whatever the question is, make it a question that makes it's a unique question that requires people to say, that's an interesting question. Don't try to solve the problem. Try to start a conversation, because the smarter you look is how you ask questions in these LinkedIn groups. And here's why the groups are so important, because some of these groups, you can write an article and you can say, here's an example of an article that I put out on medium.com that talks about how this does this, whatever the article is. You share that link on this social media today, 266,000. Think about how many people might see that article. Think about how many people might be in a freelance environment that needs a writer like you, a business professional like you. Let's even say, well, not everybody's going to see this. So let's say even half. That's 130,000. Let's say we're wrong. Half of that, 75,000. Let's say we're wrong. 65,000. Let's say we're wrong. Let's say we were really wrong. Only 10,000 people see it. When was the last time you sent something out that you knew 10,000 people were going to see? Tell me, right?
Was that a rhetorical question? Because I can't think of any specific.
Yeah, no, it is right. It is rhetorical. So the point is, if you see 266,000 members in LinkedIn, you have a chance to reach those. Now, if you join 5 groups, that's over 1 million people. If you write an article or if you put a post out or a good question, what people are going to do is they're going to share that with someone else. right? The old adage is, if it's a good question that is heartfelt and has empathy and compelling, people are going to share that. Unlike when you have an experience at a restaurant, 10 people will tell you it sucks, one person will say it was great. But in social media, if you ask a good question, it will get spread out. But if you have a chance to join 5 groups and have 1 million people in the group to put out content, all you need is 1% of the million is what? 10% of 1 million is 100,000. 1% is still, it's 10,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
For 1 million people, all you need is 1 or 2% of people to see your content. And either A, they're going to call you with a potential project, but B, the more you add content out there, it gives you credibility in the market. So when people see Russ Riendeau's name, and if you Google Russ Riendeau, you're going to see LinkedIn, you're going to see all this stuff. People are going to go, wow, he's a rock star. No, I'm not a rock star, but I'm just constantly putting information out there that adds credibility to who I am and what I do. And eventually someone's going to say, well, he must know something because no one's shutting him down, right?
Yeah.
Or recommendations. So the more good content you can put in the groups, that's where you build your platform. Because if you write a story on Medium, you can share that in that platform as long as the rules of the group allow that.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to let you share that story, and that gets disseminated throughout the entire planet. And these also, going back to our favorite new Netflix, The Social Dilemma, Zuli, these people in these groups are not of the same algorithm as people that read the Medium.
Mm-hmm.
Right? How many articles on the Medium are how to get rich quick, how to retire by the time you're 36?
Yeah.
I'm tired of these get rich quick articles, these how to gain wealth. You can become wealthy writing, but it's a lot of work, and there's better ways, or there's better ways to leverage your content instead of trying to keep building and building and building an audience that at some point we're going to run out of exciting things to talk about, or we're going to burn out because we're tired of writing. So we need to find alternative ways of generating income. And the way you do that is by tapping into the LinkedIn community, where you have people that are not just 26 and 36, but 46 and 56 that aren't good writers, that need creative people to write their content, and go from there. Interesting little tidbit. The average person that's over 50 years old is not very good with keyboard skills. Now, those of us here might be, right? I'm 62 years old. I'm fluent on a keyboard. Why? Because I took typing as a sophomore in high school because I knew I wanted to write. But most old people, over 50, let's call it, sorry, everybody. If you're over 50, most people you've seen, they're kind of the hunt and peck kind of things. Why don't they write? Because it's too laborious to try to type like this, so they can't type. So what does that mean?
There's a lot of value out there. You just have to leverage it.
Yeah. If people don't write because they can't type, and if they can't type, they're not very creative because it takes them too long. So they need you and me to help them craft a story, all because they don't have the keyboard skills. Think about that. If you see people that write marginal stuff, they don't have the keyboard skills.
Yeah,
so
this is kind of like my aha moment when somebody paid me $300 to write one story. And for me, writing a story, a blog post, an article, it comes easily. So I was like, who's paying me $300 to write something? But there are people who, for various, very valid reasons, don't have time, don't have the creativity, don't have the typing skills. And that writing is so, so, so valuable, just unendingly. I think there's so much opportunity out there.
Exactly.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Russ.
No, it's kind of a lack of typing skills is a taboo topic in the corporate world, and you can leverage that if you understand that the majority of people that are out there do not have fluent keyboard skills, as if they're older. The younger generation grew up with it, right? But people that are even 45, even 50, really challenged on the typing side. So another way, under groups, another way that I'll give people a couple ideas here. And how are we doing on time?
Yeah, we're about 40 minutes in. I do want to leave enough time to talk about your specific marketing tactics, about how you're planning to
Yeah. Okay.
use LinkedIn for your book. So let's do another 5 minutes here on my profile, and then we'll stop saying how bad mine is.
So this would be a good segue into that. So under groups, here's another thing to do is, how many of you out there have hobbies and things you like to do when you're not working? Can I see a show of hands? Okay, great. Zuli, how many have? Do you have 6, 7, 8 people I see in the audience that raise their hand? Everybody has something that, in essence, what would you rather be doing than sitting right here watching Zuli and I? What would you rather be doing? Now, I know you're learning some cool stuff, and we're part of a little tribe here, which is great. But if it were anything else that you could do, what would you do? Would you be playing golf? Would you be riding a bike? Would you be hiking somewhere? Would you be diving in the pool? Would you be on vacation with a cruise ship, pre-COVID, post-COVID? What would you be doing other than what you're watching right now to learn something? Think about your hobbies, your passions. Look under groups. Let's say you're into, Zuli, should we pick you as the guinea pig? What's a hobby of yours?
I love swimming.
Swimming. So you could go into groups again and type in swimming.
Yeah.
Okay. So she likes swimming. So you could join groups. And here's some people, and these aren't real big groups, right? I guess there's not a lot of swimmers, Zuli, out there. So man overboard, there's going to be a lot of people at the bottom of the ocean here. But you could join a swimming group. You could join a group if you like to fly planes or motorcycles or run or walk or hike, or if you have a pet rabbit, whatever. Join groups of people that have like-minded interests. And then ask questions about things in the group. And what happens is you start to create a little bit of an aura around the fact that if people like to do what you like to do, they're going to feel an association, right? They're going to believe that you have the same values, the same interests, the same taste, the same energy level, because you're of the same tribe. And what you can do is, when you're part of these groups, now you can look for people that maybe are also in the marketing and digital space as a freelance writer. Those people in those can become customers. What you also do is you can write articles and do postings in here and that tie into the theme of swimming. So maybe your article can be, so a chess player and a swimmer walked into the pool. I don't know where we go with that. But that's a good segue, right? The swimmer and the chess player walked into a bar. Mm-hmm. So what do we do here? We're playing on the chess because it's pretty popular with the Queen Gambit right now. Mm-hmm. So we're playing on a trend in social world right now, in pop culture. And we're also talking about your passion of swimming. Mm-hmm. That's going to get people's eye. That's going to get their attention. Find a way to tie the title into a story. So pick these hobbies, pick these passions and track them down in LinkedIn so you can cross promote what you do. So an example of a segue. So this book that I wrote, this book of poetry is titled Somewhere Past Gum Creek. It's a Kindle book. It's poetry and prose. It has pictures of artwork that I've done over the last couple of years, paintings, sculptures, drawings. We picked images that fit the poem. Now, the reason I say that is what I've been able to do is take the pictures that I've drawn and I use those on my LinkedIn posts. So I use them as art to get people's attention. Mm-hmm. I have sent pictures of those art out to businesses, and they have even paid me a licensing fee to print that photo to put on the wall of their lobby. I sent a copy of one of the paintings to magazines, and this year, just by doing 3 simple emails, I got my art on 3 different magazine covers over a 12-month period of time this year. I got paid for one of them. And the other ones I didn't get paid, but it's pretty cool and pretty impressive when people say, oh, that was my picture on the cover, a piece of art that I did on the magazine. And I'm not saying that as a bragging point. I'm saying is I sent 3 emails out
Mhm.
I got my art on, and I'm no special artist. I'm just one dude making pictures and building stuff. But you have to ask. You have to send an email out there and show people what you can do. Just
Mhm.
put it out there. Don't be a perfectionist. Good enough now, perfect later is our kind of our theme that I've used for a long time. If it's good enough now, put it out there. Why? Because the perfectionists are going to make sure, oh, I get it's a little color. I better. They're not going to send it out, and you're going to be the one that gets the benefit of that doubt.
Mhm.
So don't be scared to use your hobbies and your passions to tie into what you do for a living, because that's going to also keep you fresh and energized.
Yeah.
Because it won't feel like a job, you know.
Mhm.
Um, so many people are concerned about they want to find a career that they're passionate about. They want to find a job that you've heard this. I want a job that I would go to work there even if they didn't pay me.
Mhm.
Sorry, that's naive. That's naive. That's why they call it. That's why it's a job. That's why they call it work. If you're going to a job, you're working for someone else. So it's okay to have a job that you're not passionate about, right? I'm not passionate about every job I have as a headhunter, but it allows me to still put my energy into the writing. I can make a good living, and that allows me to have fun with doing the writing and doing artwork and doing other kind of sculpture work or whatever I want to do. It gives me that time to do it, so it keeps me energized in my job, right? In my job. So if you can do a good job, you can make more money in your job to feed your passions and energy that you want, whether it's investing money in your hobby or you
Mhm.
need to invest money in publishing or writing a book, right? How many people out there actually budget a certain amount of money per year to market themselves?
Not me, that's for sure.
Okay. So, and you're typical of when I ask that question. If I do a writing group or I'll do a session on people say I want to be a writer, I want to do some creative work. How much you budget each year? How much money do you have in a checkbook dedicated to when you open your own business, right? How much,
Mhm.
how much money do you put in per month? How much money do you budget for marketing, for sending out a press release? If you send out a press release, this book, right? So I'm going to
Mhm.
put a press release out for this book. How much is it going to cost me to put a press release out one time to market this book? It's going to cost close to $500 to $700 for a good press release that's going to get into thousands and thousands of newspapers, radios, magazines, things like that. $600, and that's the cheap side. I might even have to pony up because then they're going to want an image. So when people say, "Well, how do you market your book?" Well, put a press release out,
Mhm.
but you got a budget for this. It's not, you just can't, well, I'll just put it out on the internet. To where?
Mhm.
Where are you going to put? You can't put it out on LinkedIn because that's marketing, and people they're going to shut you down like you're a lead toy factory. So think about this. If we're serious about our craft, we have to budget money. We have to take money out of our paycheck every day and put it aside because we have to invest somewhere in paying either for a press release or printing cost or
Mhm.
promotional or running ads, stuff like that. And if you're not willing to budget for that, then you're going to be that brooding poet, like I sometimes enjoy being. The world just doesn't understand me.
Yeah,
But
so if you can't outwardly market your book on LinkedIn, how do you I mean, do you use LinkedIn as a platform, I guess, to at least raise awareness of the book? Or yeah, how do you do it?
well, you mean how you market a book? How
Yeah.
you market this kind of a book? There's a couple ways you can market a book like this. Now, if it's different, if it's fiction, if it's a self-help book, if it's how to sell more stuff. But books are very tricky to market because it has to be, you don't market the book. What you do is you market what the book does for the reader. Oh wow, Russ wrote a nice book of poetry. I didn't know that he was I'm an average poet writing an average book. Yes, I think the content is good. I think it's compelling. But my angle, my market here for this book is, as a psychologist, I understand that there's a power of poetry that actually helps heal people. there's a well-being factor. It actually changes our physiology. So I'm marketing this book as a tool for corporations that says, you're better off giving a book of poetry to your employees than giving them a logoed coffee mug or a nice little backpack or a stress ball to go home with.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be more value. They're going to be healthier. They're going to be happier because you gave them a book of poetry.
Yeah.
And the book of poetry costs $3.99 on Kindle. The coffee mug cost about $2.99.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same click, right? So the way I'm marketing this is I'm marketing to the corporate world. It's very difficult to sell one book at a time because I sell a book to Julie, I sell one to Bob and Susan and Jared and Frank and Michelle and Scott, but I got to keep selling a new book to a new person every time. But if you sell books to corporate America, if you have a book that makes sense to corporate America, you sell to one person, the dude with the checkbook, the lady with the checkbook, and they say, we want to buy 1,000 copies for each of our employees. We want them autographed because we believe this is going to help. Now, I just sold 1,000 books one time. And there are ways to do that. There are marketing companies that do that. The same with music is I've put out a lot of CDs of music.
Mm-hmm.
I've sold many times 100 CDs to one person because they want to buy this music. They want to buy the CD to put in a gift basket for a company event.
Yeah.
Right?
No, that makes a lot of sense. It's an angle I hadn't ever considered. I have to ask, did you write this book originally because it was something you have to be passionate about it in order to write a good book, but what was the original intent? Was it to sell it to corporate America, or did that kind of realization come after you'd written the book?
Yeah, no, good question. My intent for the book was I wrote the majority of this I wrote here during COVID.
Yeah.
I had more time. I was in a much more, still am in COVID, much more reflective period of time, a much more contemplative time. And that's the reinvention of your name here, right? I'm spending more time thinking about what's going to happen post-COVID, assessing values. We all know people that have gotten sick from COVID. I know people that have died from COVID. I know people whose family members have died. So it's very touching. So the book of poetry was a little bit cathartic. So I wrote it with that kind of energy and passion. But at the same time, I said, if I'm going to market this, there's no way I can sell enough poetry books to make money on it. But if I sell to corporate America, and if I show corporate America the value of poetry related to wellness and well-being in a COVID environment, maybe I'll get more attention that way.
Okay.
Right. And so that's my approach. I don't care if I sell books of poetry in the bookstore on Martha's Vineyards or over at the hospital gift shop. That's nice, but I'm not even going there. I'm not trying to get it into bookstores. I'm marketing it on Kindle and then marketing it into the corporate space where I think it'll have a bigger impact on people.
Yeah. So other than marketing to, and that makes so much sense, right? Sell one book, 1,000.
Sell one book, sell 1,000 books one time.
I'm not getting this right. You know what I mean? Like you made a single sale and yeah.
Sorry, you're pixelating here. We're standing by until she comes back from the intergalactic trip here through space. Well, until she
I'm
comes
back.
There she is. Okay,
Can you hear me? Sorry,
Yep.
we were doing so well. People from my last live stream will know that like my internet these past week has been abysmal, but thank you for bearing with me. Yeah, I wanted to ask, so you were correcting me, I think, from my butchered version of what you said, which was sell in bulk. Don't sell a single book 1,000 times. Sell 1,000 books once to one person. And that made so much sense. But other than targeting corporate America, how else do you plan to market?
How do I plan to market books? And here again, the way I have made more money, let me give you an example. Stand by.
Sorry, where did you lose me?
No, you there? Okay.
Oh, so yeah, sorry about that.
No problem.
Did you catch any of that when I was asking?
Pardon?
I was asking, so other than targeting corporate America when it comes to marketing your book, I was asking for your other marketing secrets.
Yes. So here's another example. Is I have made more money writing books because I'm able to leverage that as the expert in the room as opposed to selling books. So here's another example. Here's a book. So here's a book that I wrote. This is on a little. Have you seen these kind of little flash drive? You ever seen these? These are really cool. So this is a business card size. I had this book that I wrote a couple of years ago. Put it on this. It cost about $3 to get 100 of these on a flash drive. When I go into a business meeting, or if I want to meet someone, I send them this book. It cost me $3 to produce each one. I give this out. I have made literally, as a search person over the years, I literally have made hundreds of thousands of dollars over the last 25 years by writing books and giving my book away, because people cherish books. They love books. We keep books. They are become part of who we are. My bookshelf, you know, I don't have stress balls and coffee mugs up here, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Books, right?
Yeah, same. I bet everyone's office is,
Right.
Books are the focal point.
Yeah, I didn't save the logoed pen. People cherish books. So when you give people a book and they see you as an author, it's a very special moniker that people see. So if you're thinking about writing a book, don't worry about always selling it in the bookstore. Unless you're Oprah or Michelle Obama or someone else that has a radio show, it's nearly impossible to get a publisher to publish your book if you don't have a platform to sell 10,000 copies a year. So I'm not saying that to burst the bubble on writing a book, but
no, not at all.
what you can do is write the book, even if you have to self-publish it, right? I've self-published most of my books, but people don't care. It's a good book. I get good feedback, and I give them away, and that makes me more money giving away a $10 book.
Yeah, than actually selling the book.
I don't have to fight for the contracts, right? And that's people say, well, Russ, why should I hire you? Well, here's what I've done. Here's what I've done. And has the other person written a book? Have they written these articles? Have they invested the time and energy in their career? So that's the way that you market the books. And if you do workshops or seminars, you can give the books away or sell them as a discount, offer them as premiums. But you can sell them to corporate America, and they will buy them. There are companies like Premium Book Marketing Services, a guy named Brian Judd, J-U-D. If you go on Brian Judd's website, you will see that he sells corporate books. So he has a sales force out there of independent reps that are I think they have 50 or 60,000 people out there selling books and corporate incentive items, premium gifts that if you have a good book that makes sense, they could sell 10,000 copies. It might take a year or two, but I'd rather sell 10,000 copies one time.
Yeah, than trying to do it one at a time. Yeah. All right, we're coming up to time here. So as I did for the last interview, I've written up some highlights, and I'll share these in the video description when we hop off here. But I just wanted to run through my key takeaways and then leave some time for questions at the end. Sure. Right. So my takeaways for the first half, destroying my LinkedIn profile, was to think of the overarching theme was to think of my LinkedIn profile not as a typical social media. This is not just where I'm collecting images and links. This is my resume. This is my professional face to the world, and I should treat it like that. And the best way to do that is not by describing what I do or who I am, but using questions to kind of elicit and show off my value proposition. So there were a couple of really, really good tips, like, give people a compelling reason to call, ask a question saying, is this what you're interested in? I loved your tip about offering consulting for $1. And that way you can say, yeah, this company paid me for this service. That was so cool. I never would have thought of that. Exactly. And again, your recommendation to say, I would love to get a testimonial from you. I know, you're probably busy. Let me write it for you. You can edit it, and then we can go from there. That was really, really great as well. And hopefully it's going to increase the number of recommendations I will soon be having on my beautified LinkedIn profile. Yeah. And then using groups are an aspect of LinkedIn I had never really heard of, certainly had never used. So I'm looking forward to getting into those and seeing, yeah, again, using questions to become a conversation starter rather than just like another place to self-promo.
Right.
That was a really good distinction. And yeah, then wrapping up your thoughts on how to market your book. The two key aspects that I thought were really interesting was, first of all, selling to corporate America. Again, like my dad works for corporate America, and I actually see him read books for his job all the time that his job gave him. Not something I had ever considered as a viable career option, but there you go. You're doing it, and it seems to be really, really successful.
Yeah.
And the other thing I thought was not selling your book, but actually giving your book away. Because I mean, as I look at my shelf of books that I love and would never give up, it's so true. I don't keep my branded mugs or my pens or my t-shirts. It's the books that I carry with me. Well, I guess you've got a pen now, don't you?
Yeah. Free, right?
It's the books I carry with me from country to country, the pens I leave behind in coffee shops or whatever. And I thought that using that as a business card was such a neat idea.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, those are my takeaways, and I would love to open it up to Q&A. It doesn't look like anybody has any questions yet, probably because you did too good a job explaining everything. But we'll keep it open for a couple of minutes and see if anybody hops in.
Well, and while we're potentially people asking some questions, so here's another example. So here's some books. Here's some. Now you'll notice these are all the same. So this is a great book written by a friend and colleague, Lee Sauls. I buy about 15 to 20 of those books a year. I spend hundreds of dollars buying his book. Now, why would I buy his book? Well, it's a great book. I've read it. But why do I buy 20 copies? I buy 20 copies and I mail those copies to potential customers, executives that I work with, that says, Zuli, I thought you might like this book. It's a great book on sales training techniques. You might find it very interesting. I know who the author is. It's a signed copy that he sent to me. I wanted to give it to you. I think it's a powerful book. Have a great day. I spend $100 or more on the books. It costs me at least $10 per book to mail to the person, right? So I'm investing hundreds of dollars giving away a book that's not mine. But I get business that leads to tens of thousands of dollars in search fees. Why? Because I was not perceived as hawking my book. You should read my book. And this is why I'm promoting someone else being smarter than I am. And what that does is it gives me more credibility. It makes you trust me more because I'm sharing someone else's content. There's also powerful here called reciprocity. If I give you something, here's a pen. If I give you a pen, you feel like you now owe me something. It's human nature, right? Reciprocity. That's why they give stress balls. So here's a stress ball. What's your email address? And then you get crap for 3 years. When you give away something, people feel indebted to give you something. So if I give a book of value, plus the viewer says, wow, this book cost him $20. It cost him $10 to send it. Russ has already invested $30 in this relationship. That makes sense. Don't be scared to give away content because it has a high value perception, right? And that's going to lead to more. Even if you're a freelance writer, send a book for now. If you haven't written your own book, send a book from someone else who writes pretty good and says, hey, I thought you might like this book. It's a great book on how you can write better articles, right? Another thing you can do is, most people don't read the paper, but I get paper. Read the newspaper. Go to the library. Can't go to the library yet. But when you go to the library, you've heard of cough and tear. You know, in the back, you kind of and you rip the article out of the. Don't tell anybody. My wife's in the library business.
No, I've never done. Libraries hold a very sacred place in my heart.
Well, not the magazine, the actual magazine, but yeah. Okay, no, you didn't hear that. But when you get the newspaper, if you see, what I do is I read with purpose. When you read the paper or a magazine, if you see an article that's interesting that you think would appeal to a friend, a colleague, a business professional, someone of interest, share it out. Mail it to them, put a little note that says, Kevin, I saw this article. I thought you might be interested in it. Hope you have a great week. I can't tell you how many times I sent an article in the paper, cost me 50 cents and a stamp.
Mm-hmm.
The person said, thanks, Russ. I was thinking of you the other day. I'd like to hire you for a project.
Look at that. All it costs is a stamp.
It's a cost of a stamp and a rip and possibly the librarian yelling at you for tearing stuff out of their newspaper.
High price to pay.
Yeah, it's worth it. I can pay them off.
We have had a couple. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
We've got a couple of questions in the chat. So when we talked earlier before this call, you did mention premium LinkedIn to me, and I was skeptical. But Kevin has actually the same question as me. If you're a freelancer, is it a worthwhile investment, or even like, is it a must-have investment in your recommendation?
Yes, Kevin, I love the hat, by the way. I love that. I pay the $49 a month for LinkedIn Premium for two reasons. One, it gets me through a lot of firewalls that you can't get through on a free version. There's more bells and whistles. So it's very valuable for me as a search professional and speaker to have that part. The second reason is when you are a LinkedIn Premium member, you get that little gold symbol, that little gold LinkedIn insignia. When people see that, it shows people that you are taking your game up a notch and you're serious about using LinkedIn. People see you as a little step above the people that are, we'll pick on you, Zuli, too cheap to invest a little bit of money in their corporate space. So there's this perception, right? It's like, well, if you don't have a website, you can't be in business. So I believe that the LinkedIn Premium version, I get my money back on that because it's I can be guaranteed to reach people that I normally wouldn't be able to reach. So I think it's a high value.
Yeah, makes sense. I think you can even get it for free for the first month, which is something I've been on the fence, but especially if I want to start taking it seriously.
It's a more robust, right? It's a more robust profile. You can do more. You can post articles and share things a lot easier. Embed videos. So yeah, it's I think it's worth it.
Okay, question from Brooke. Thanks for the awesome session. Thank you, Russ. Seriously, that was awesome. So she has heard that LinkedIn does not promote links to outside content. So if I were to copy paste a Medium article, LinkedIn's, I don't know, mysterious algorithm wouldn't promote it. What are your thoughts?
I don't think that's true. I've cut and pasted articles, Brooke, from everywhere. So
do you cut and paste, like copy paste the content of the article, or do you copy paste like the link?
I paste the link. So I'll go so on your page you have where it says share a post. You click on the share a post button, and then you copy that link from that page, and it will populate in your LinkedIn. And if there's an image, that image will also pop up in that LinkedIn profile box as well.
I want to try to do it right now, if that's okay with everyone. I just want to see. So here, this is me. Can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Is this what you're talking about, Russ? Where I just like, I'll pick a Medium article that I like. And do you add any context, or do you literally just copy paste the link?
So if you want, try open up another browser and go to the let's try Amazon. Go to my book, Somewhere Past Gum Creek on Kindle.
Okay.
Try that.
Creek. All right. Hang on, I'm gonna have to stop sharing and then start sharing again. Bear with me. And here we go. Okay, so you should be able to see Russ's book here. Okay, what am I doing with this?
So save the link.
Got it.
And then go to your share a post. And let's cut and paste that in. Let's see what happens on yours.
Let's see. I'm excited. Okay,
let's see what happens.
It's loading a preview. I don't know if you can hear my my computer.
Oh, look at that! This is a phenomenal book. By the way, Brooke. Right. So look at that. So.
Just like I would just write anything.
Yeah. Okay. So here's what you do. So when you're promoting something on LinkedIn, you could do it because it's your post. You can say anything you want, but you could say, here's a phenomenal book you want to check out, and then give people a compelling reason saying it's cheaper than a cup of coffee and it will change your life.
Probably won't post this.
Right? Why not?
I haven't posted anything on LinkedIn in a year. I should probably, why not? All right.
So if you post this,
sorry, go ahead.
If you post this, what happens is, you're challenging people to say, people say, well, it's everybody says their book is phenomenal. But if you challenge people, say, hey, what have you got to lose? It's a cup of coffee.
Mm-hmm.
What have you got to lose? It challenges, it's what's called a non-normative question. And that's what gets people curious about that. So as you can see, it will populate pictures. So if you have an image, it will, and it makes your LinkedIn profile look a little more robust, a little more colorful, because there's a lot of pictures and videos. So that's why it's really interesting. And when you post something like this, it goes to every one of your connections if you have it set up that way. So now what are you doing? You're being seen as you associate with other fellow authors. So it raises the bar of how people see you, because you can even say, here's a phenomenal book you might want to check out by a fellow author that I know. Mm-hmm. Now you're writing the association of Russ or the author on top of that, so it builds up your credibility in the marketplace as well. So you take advantage of my level, and then I take advantage of yours. And we're not manipulating. It's just simply, this is the way you market and leverage contacts in the social media platform.
Now, do you use hashtags?
I have used them periodically. I'm not real sophisticated on some of that, but I do use them.
I'll do reviews and books. Why not? And then I'll just post, and that's it. So even though, again, I am now promoting your book on my LinkedIn page, but as you say, we both stand to benefit. I'm going to show that I'm associating with a successful author and adding just a little bit more content to my LinkedIn profile. Like, I guess it isn't just a resume. It's also showing what you have to offer. And in this case, it's my excellent taste in books.
Exactly. Now, what we're also going to do is, now you've posted my book on here. Thank you very much. And I will, as for our audience, I will encourage you. So what you can do is you can go to Kindle, order this book. If you don't have Kindle, you can still download it on a PDF. It's $3.99, so I'm not getting rich. But the reason I'll ask you to download that book is, I think the book can change lives because of what poetry does. But what you do is you take this and then you talk about this in your blogs, in your articles. You say, here's an example of something I learned from a recent book. It gives you a couple different storylines for you to share, and you build a connection. You build a powerful reference point with your readers. So you use my book, like I use Zuli's content, to advance your conversation. And then this video that Zuli does, I'm going to put this on my LinkedIn post saying, hey, sports fans, if you want to learn more about how to turn your LinkedIn profile into something more robust, this is what here's a good video. So I will in turn give reciprocity back to Zuli for what she's doing for me, and you're doing something for me, whether it's purchasing her book or telling the story. So to quote Red Green, we're all in this together, right?
Yeah, that was one of the biggest sort of like eureka moments for me as a writer, a freelance writer especially, is just the sheer bulk of success comes from networking, and not just networking like who's who, you want to make connections on LinkedIn. It's more about forming relationships with people that you care about and offering them as much help as you can. And then that actually gets you so far. Like that's where I've gotten where I am today, just by relationships with people who I like in the freelancing writing world. And yeah, it's a winner. So Brooke actually had a follow-up question to that, which I want to include. When sharing content on LinkedIn, should you link to an article or blog post or repurpose the content for LinkedIn? So I guess this is kind of what I was referring to earlier. Would you ever just like copy paste the content of a blog post, paste that into LinkedIn and use that as a way to generate traffic?
Yes, you can do that. Here's what I would encourage you to do is so for example, this LinkedIn post that you just did for me, if you're going to cut and paste a hyperlink like we just did, make sure that you put your content in there rather than just posting it. Give people a context. The reason I'm sharing this with you is because I know Russ. I know the book, or this I saw was interesting. Give people a reason why you're sharing this information, because if you don't, what happens is, how many times have people just reposted something on Facebook, something that's, promotes violence, or a political statement, something that's very dangerous. Be careful how you do that on LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is a business platform. It's not Facebook. It's not fake news. It's not fake people. So take LinkedIn very seriously and think twice about what you put on LinkedIn to make sure that it represents who you are, and it represents you as a professional, ethical, honest, law-abiding citizen, and as a capitalist too. LinkedIn is there for business, and if you're getting paid for doing something, you're a business professional. So just be very careful about when you post it. Have a good intent, right, with what you post on LinkedIn. It has to be about them.
It's similar on Medium too. When I write stuff on Medium, if I write it in a way that's catering to what I think the algorithm wants, or like in a way that I'm trying to elicit or like hack the system, basically, it almost never does well. And I think it's because people have a good sort of detector for the BS. I've lost internet again. Anyway, yeah, if you write stuff that you believe in, that you actually comes from a genuine place of wanting to share and maybe help other people, or just share something cool, that stuff on Medium for me does a lot better. And it sounds like it's the same on LinkedIn.
Same thing, right? And it goes back to our favorite movie, The Social Dilemma, is Medium has a certain algorithm, and certain articles continue to populate there. That's why it seems like they all look the same. And what LinkedIn will do is LinkedIn is going to expose a younger writer to a whole different perspective of people that are making decisions because their company doesn't allow it or can't allow it, whatever the case. So that's why stepping out of that Medium platform is really good, because it opens up to a broader audience of different ages, demographics,
perspectives,
levels, right?
Absolutely.
So that's a good point.
All right, I'll do 2 more questions, and then I think I'll probably pull it to a close, because I am, for one, I'm starving for my lunch. But we've got some really good questions. Okay. Robin actually already has a great LinkedIn profile for the primary career in hospital administration and law, but wants to transition to work as a writer. What's your advice for Robin? Should there just be a brand new LinkedIn profile, or should she try to somehow change it? So do you know what I'm asking? What would you recommend?
Robin, great question, and congratulations on transitioning. So yeah, don't open up a new LinkedIn profile. Don't do that. Take your LinkedIn profile and start to write things about healthcare. Mm-hmm. Right? Start to write about hospital administration. Start to do some posts about that, and change your summary to read healthcare administration professional and writer, or in essence, what do you want to do? Start to post some things on your LinkedIn profile related to writing. And when you say transitioning to working as a writer, what do you mean by that? Do you want to freelance? Are you just going to write a blog? Are you going to sell advertising? Are you going to try to write on Medium? Decide what it is that you want when you say work as a writer. Mm-hmm. What do you want your LinkedIn profile? When people look at your LinkedIn profile, like we said before, what do you want people to do when they look at your profile? Do you want them to call you?
So just get really clear on your goal.
What's the actionable items that you want people, what do you want to be known for? And that's what your LinkedIn profile should look like. What do I want people to think about when they open up and see my mugshot, right? So yeah, great question.
Yeah, that was a really good question, because I write under a pen name, as a bunch of you probably know. And when I came to thinking of how I wanted to market myself, I did just open up a brand new LinkedIn for Zuli. And now I'm wondering if maybe I should have just, oh, well, okay. That was 2 years ago.
Yeah, be careful. If you have a LinkedIn profile, it's okay to fix that profile. But if you open up 2, then it confuses, and it's almost impossible to try to get rid of that thing without getting Reid Hoffman on the phone himself saying, can you click the button and get us off of here? So,
yeah. All right. Last question, and then I'll let you all go. And I'll say this many more times to come, but thank you so much, Russ. This has been so cool.
Glad to do it. Thanks everybody for linking on here.
Last question from Christy. Life and parent coach trouble finding clients, what should
Okay. Zuli kind of froze up here. She's having trouble finding clients.
Am I back?
Okay. Are you back? You're still froze.
Hello, test.
Gus, are you there?
I am here. I am here. Are you here?
Okay. Well, I'm going to answer the question.
Okay.
There you go. Okay. So I haven't seen if Christy, if you want to send me a LinkedIn invite, I'll take a look at your LinkedIn profile. But what I would suggest is if you're having trouble finding clients, look at your LinkedIn profile and are you sharing content that says how you help people as opposed to just what you do? Mm-hmm. So maybe you can ask better questions on your LinkedIn profile and send more information that way. Maybe you can join some groups. Think about this. What groups can you join? Who refers you to potential clients? Hospitals, doctors, therapists, rehabilitation centers, parents, school administrators, teachers. Think about who refers you to people that need life coaching. Join groups of those kinds of people, put articles in there, write posts that help them help their students, their employees, and in turn, those will lead to referrals because they'll say, oh, Christy understands what I'm talking about. I have a friend who needs coaching, right? So remember we talked about follow the checkbook? Mm-hmm. Join groups of people that are like-minded because those are the ones that are going to refer you to the business.
Yeah. Fantastic advice. What a way to close. The second reason for leaving now is before my internet completely gives up the ghost. I am working on getting better internet, as Chris points out to me. It's a work in progress, I promise, and thank you for bearing with me up till now. Russ, that was fantastic. That was so useful. I'm really looking forward to checking out your LinkedIn profile. I posted it in the chat, and it's in the video description as well if anybody wants to see what a real professional LinkedIn looks like. And Russ, I'm sure you'll be happy to accept any connections that come your way.
Yeah. And,
everyone else, thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks,
Russ, any last words?
Have a great, everybody. Hope you have a safe holiday. Don't put too much pressure on yourself this year for missing family. Do the Zoom calls, have a cocktail, celebrate the weirdness. It's going to get better next year. Keep on writing, keep on putting content out there, and good enough now, perfect later. Sign off. Hope you enjoy the book if you buy it. If you don't, no problem. I'll be crying and loathing, but hope you enjoy it. And we're all in this together. So peace out. Have a great time.
All right. Bye, everyone. Thanks again for your time. Any questions, let me know.